just generally, I've been tracking your work, career, or whatever over the years, just checking back in and seeing what you're doing. So I'm aware of all your work on blockbuster feature films, like Blade Runner, Hellboy. What else have I got here? Godzilla. Ready Player One is one of my favorite films. It's like the metaverse and the future of crypto type stuff as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've been tracking those types of background of your work. So I'd like to chat about how or why you initially got into that line of work. You know, what was attractive to it and why you felt, at a young age, because I know you've been doing it for decades now as well. So
Yeah.
I'll just, step back to the why and the how, like right at the start, and then I'll catch up to, what's happening with you now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I basically started in high school. I mean, I started with my dad gave me a camera, and I went, by chance, I went to art high school. I mean, who would have known that where I ended up was going to be one of the best art high schools. It was just by chance, and I had a really good photography teacher, and I kind of just went through the just loving photography was such an outlet because you could, in a boarding school, you could just hide in the dark room and do whatever you wanted and nobody would bug you. So it was awesome. And yeah, I went from there to like college, studied at another art school and, but then at that point, I kind of got into an accident in LA, a motorcycle accident, and got a spinal cord injury that basically changed my life. Spent like 9 months in the hospital trying to just recuperate, and at that point I couldn't use my legs anymore because of the spinal cord injury. So I had to get used to how to function, in a chair. But I got through it, and it took time, mentally, physically to adjust. But I just asked myself, well, okay, now that I'm kind of back to, sort of, I mean, I was only 18 at that time. So it was a big hit for 18, 19 year olds. And I was just kind of like, okay, well, all right, I this is how I'm gonna live my life. So what do I do now? So I spent a couple years just trying to rehab, right? Trying to walk again. And that wasn't really going all that well. And at some point, you have to decide when to quit, right? As a person, you have to decide, hey, you got to either move on with life or, I mean, you can't keep rehabbing for the rest of your life. It just doesn't,
So,
nothing's really improving.
so was this? Did you take a break from art school then to do this, or were
Yeah,
you?
so I had the accident, and then I didn't go back to art school. I was just trying to rehab at that point. I was trying to get back on my feet, but this took a number of years because you just keep trying. But it's there's only so much. You get to a certain point and just nothing's improving, and the spinal cord it's not like a broken bone, right? It'll just heal or something. There's no signal coming in. There's no signal coming in. There's not a whole lot you can do about that. So at some point, I just said, you know what? It's time to stop and continue with life. What do I want to do now? And I was like, I don't know. And then my mom, I remember, brought in sort of this book on Jurassic Park. I mean, that's how long ago that was, and it was like the making of or something. And I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. So I said, I think I want to go back to school. So I went back, and I tried all kinds of majors, art school, and I didn't know what I wanted. And in the end, I ended up settling for the photography program where I was going was not so good. So I said, okay, I'm not going to do photography. I'm going to do interior architecture. That's what I'm going to do because it incorporated a lot of things that I liked. So I graduated doing that, but it really wasn't kind of where my heart was, and I didn't really know what that really meant anyway. So I got my first job in the multimedia. Back then it was multimedia.
Yep.
It's the CD-ROM had just came out,
That's my
I
era.
went I went
Yep.
to the interview with floppy disks.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
my interview. And so, I worked on a game, and then but that was when I really got my kick for film stuff, because the owner of the studio, co-owner, was Ron Cobb, and Ron Cobb is an Australian, and he designed a lot of the stuff for the Abyss, for Aliens. Star Wars characters. He's designed a lot of those things, and he's just sort of this very famous concept artist, basically. But he's already like really high in fame, and he had opened up the studio as And I met him, and he explained design. He painted in front of me. He told me, hey, try this, try that. Super nice guy, and he's kind of got me kickstarted in film, at least thinking about it. But at that point, it was so out of reach. I was like, no way, I'm never going to be able to do film. I mean, I was doing a game. It just didn't seem very tangible. And then that studio went under, as most multimedia studios happened at that time. And then I went to work at Lucas, in Lucas Learning. I was doing an educational game. And I was like, okay, I'm moving in the closer direction. And there were times I bumped into George Lucas, like literally bumped into him, because he would come to Lucas Learning. He rounded a corner, I rounded a corner, and I'm in a wheelchair, so he's not going to win that fight.
Yep.
So I went, oh, and it was him. And that's happened actually a few times. And each time it was kind of the same thing. But it was funny because it was like almost like a foreshadowing, because for some reason, somebody needed someone like skills like mine to work at the ranch, Skywalker Ranch, and that's when I said, okay, this is my first chance to work on a film. And at that time, it was episode 1, and episode 1, it was exciting to me, and I was in the big, we call it the big house, is where George was with his animatics team and the concept art team, right? So, but I was in the animatics side, because those were the skills that I had, and I still remember. Basically, they were just, the concept and art team was 10 feet down the hall, basically. Like, I would just go there and I would hang out there more than I would hang out at my desk, and which wasn't a good thing, because I was always looking around and, like, oh my God, look at those guys. But I was, just closer. Every time I was just a little bit closer, right? It's just over there. So I said, okay, I'll bide my time, and I'll learn what I can from these guys, and see if I can maybe one day do that, And I would offer up my services to the concept art guys for free. I'd be like, hey, can I help you with something? Of course, everybody's like, no, because I wasn't that skilled in that department, right? I had an eye because of my photography. So I've been doing it already by that point. 5-6 years already, and I had an eye, but I didn't really know how to illustrate or draw. I knew a lot of 3D, so I kept thinking about these things, and as my career proceeded, I went from that to Sony. I went to ILM, to do texture painting and modeling, and it was never the right fit, right? It was kind of like, oh, I don't want to be a modeler. Just a modeler, right? I want to do more with it. So as I started finding what I wanted, it was this convoluted career path, because I was like an animatics artist. Then I was a modeler, texturer. Then I went to the Sony as an environment sort of supervisor. And then I left there, and then I went to the orphanage, and I became a matte painter. And that's when everything changed, because I was like, okay, matte painting. Cool.
That's pretty close. Like you're
Yeah.
making your way slowly. That's a point
Right.
where it's almost concept art. It's like, yeah, you're
Yeah,
painting.
I'm getting closer. And I'm actually learning how to use Photoshop to paint. Okay, I'm getting closer. And then, so visual effects matte painting, a lot of times the shots come and they go, well, we don't really know what this is supposed to look like. So can you do a concept of it? So then I started getting that chance to do concept, and it happened more and more and more and more. And I was like, I was also almost doing like half half. And then at that point, I really sort of upped my skills. I mean, I would work constantly because I just loved it, and I had tons of ideas. And so then I got to a certain point, and I emailed Doug, who was, you know, the the production designer on Star Wars when I was back at the ranch. So I emailed him. I kept emailing him saying, here's my work, here's my work, here's my work. And after a while, he just said, hey, okay, look, stop emailing me, and why don't you just come work for me already? You know, so then he opened a studio called Image Movers, and he hired me, and that's when I started my first full-time job as a concept artist. Was at Image Movers, and we did like a couple animated films. It was Christmas Carol, and then Mars Needs Moms, and then the studio kind of shut down, and then I had to fend for myself, and I had to do, well, I was like, at that point, it was a freelance career, and I completely freaked out because I was like, how am I gonna get insurance? So, here we have to buy out, well, basically, you either buy your own insurance or you work somewhere and you have insurance. And if I was to go out on my own, I wouldn't be able to get insurance because I have a condition, right, already, and nobody would sell you insurance. And if they did, it would be astronomical. So basically, you wouldn't be able to get insurance. So I never even considered a freelance lifestyle or a freelance job. And when I got it, by the mere fact that I didn't have a choice, it was really scary, and I always stayed away. And I still remember talking to my friend George Hall, and he said he tried to, he just did his best to help me out, to get me jobs. But I think Obamacare came later. I had avenues now that I could get insurance. So it kind of, things were working out for me, and I started slowly getting jobs.
So these jobs, so up to that stage, you're working on location at all these places, and then once you started going freelance, were you still on location or are you working remotely?
Well, at that point, there was, I was in San Francisco, so I was nowhere near any of where, what was happening, and I sure wasn't really going to go to LA.
Yeah.
So I just stayed here, and I mean, I think because of the network of people I knew, and because of just really hustling, and at that time I wasn't expensive. I was just hustling, like, hey, I'll help you here, I'll help you here, and just kind of generating traction. And once you do a job, then they introduce you to other people, so it just kind of snowballed. And then as it went, and of course it helped to have George there, because he would say, hey, this production designer needs somebody. I can't do the job. You want to try? It certainly helped. So, and that was like 12 years ago. And so it's just kind of like, slowly you meet more production designers, you do a good job, and then, okay, they'll remember you or they'll forward your information. And yeah, I mean, it just kind of snowballed into bigger and bigger and bigger films. By now it's just been like so many films, I can't even remember all of them. But then I got into the union, in which case, like, they supply insurance, basically. So the union is, the Art Directors Guild, and they supply insurance. If you've worked a certain amount of hours, you get insurance. So that's like perfect for me. So, but the flip side is you're trying to always make insurance. So you're like, oh my God, I haven't worked and I need like X amount of hours or else no insurance.
Right. Make your time quota just to get the insurance. Right.
Yeah. So you're like, oh my God, I need one more month. And, a lot of us are talking. That's what we're saying to each other. Like, do you need, like, I mean, I always make it a point to help other illustrators or anybody I can help, because I know that situation. And a lot of these people have families. So if they weren't, they were, let's say they cut off the insurance, they'd have to pay for it. They would have to pay, if you have a family, maybe $3,000-4,000, and that's a lot, like that's just insurance. So we always try to help each other, like, hey, who's not working? I know, okay, this production needs people. Go contact them, like, or I'll give you, we're kind of I try to foster a really, pool of people that help each other out,
Yeah.
and I've been helped out myself, so it's great. But yeah, so the union, you just kind of, you're in the union, and a lot of these films require you to be in it, because I got a lot of turn downs before when they're like, oh, you're not in the union, we can't work with you.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah, and they've all been off-site except for one, which was a year and a half ago, The Matrix. The director lived in San Francisco, and she wanted everyone to be on site because that's how she worked. And she would come in. I mean, I couldn't understand it. I was like, it worked for me for 10 years. But after the first couple of days, I got it, because the style was, she would come into your office, sit there, and just chat with you. Literally, like she would chat with you for an hour and just say, hey, so, this, that, and then you get to the work and kind of would talk about it. It was like that. And I got it then, because I was like, well, you can't do that over, it just doesn't work, remote. So I understood, and we got a lot done, and there was a lot of camaraderie and a lot of just, hey, what do you think? A lot of collaboration. So that was fun. But I hate it. I thought I would hate like on site, because I just don't like the driving, and then the traffic jam. I mean, it took me an hour to get there. It was only 8 miles away. It's like, come on, and every day you'd be like, you get into work, you're already pissed off, because you're trying your hardest to get to work, and it's just gridlock. So, so yeah, I mean, that's, this is just sort of a real quick, maybe not that quick, like overview of what's happened. But I mean, I've learned to kind of condense it a little bit more. But yeah, it's
So when so all these recent jobs you do in the last years, they're all for, work for hire, I guess, or the IP is all owned by the studios and whoever it's owned by. It's not your stuff. Like, you can't even show most of this stuff to anyone. Like, especially sometimes the film won't get even released, or
you can't.
yeah. So it's out of your hands, all that stuff. So you've been doing a lot of personal work as well in between those times, or
Yeah. So I mean, it's funny because some of the artists are, like when you ask them, hey, you have some work, and you'll realize that they don't do any personal work, because they're really into they give everything they can to the commercial work, and then they say, oh, I'm tired, I need to be with my family now. And that's fair, but I found that in all these years, I'm the one that, if you say, yeah, you have personal work, I'm like, okay, all right, which one do you want? Because I'm always working on personal stuff, because I have so much to say. And I'm always trying to say, okay, here's this story, I want to try to illustrate that, or I want to learn some new skills. And I think that I couldn't do without doing the personal work. And the funny thing is, I mean, before I got The Matrix, which is one of the best jobs that I've actually been on, I was really burnt out. And I got the call for Matrix, and my first instinct was to say no. Now that's how burned out I was, because I was like, I don't think I can do another job. I need a break. I cannot. And then my friend's like, you might not want to say no to this. And I'm like, and he's like, it's The Matrix, man. I mean, you're going to be working with a director. I'm like, all right, like, who does that? Like, it's like most people's like, yes, I'm going. Where do I sign? And I'm, and it's not for a sense of, not being grateful. It was, I was that burned out that I just thought, is this the rest of my life? Like I'm just going to, go from one, you know, the problem is when you have in a year, I could easily work with 4 to 5 production designers. So it's like different people, right? So at some point, just by sheer numbers, you're gonna have some people that you don't really quite connect with. Let's put it that way, and that can make the job really hard. When you work at one company, it's very easy to okay, I like this guy, and I'm going to work with him for the next 5 years. It's very it's an easy road to say, okay, find your crew and you guys have a good time. On these film jobs, you're always changing who you're working with, so you're bound to find some people you just can't stand or you don't connect with, and I think I had a string of too many of those, or you just, you don't believe in the project or the work hours are crazy or something, right? I just had too many of those, and then I got to a point where I was like, Matrix, I don't know. But I'm really glad I said yes because it reinvigorated me. And the director Lana, she taught me a lot is the thing, and she really showed me, what it's like to be excited about your project and to think deeper. And also taught me a lot about family because she treated me like family. And I never thought that would happen. As corny as it sounds, it's like, I just never thought it would happen. And that kind of reinvigorated me, not to work on more films, but to work on me, my projects.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, I got to start writing more of what I want to do. I got to start illustrating more about what I want to do. And so I just kind of went after it, with a vengeance. I had always done personal work, but now I was like really focused and really wanted to dive back into like the core of who I am, and it made me look inside, like, my disability, my injury, like how does that play in what I do? How does that play in what I write? So yeah, I mean, personal work's been a big part of, my life. And that's certainly why I'm sort of exploring what I'm exploring now, because it's like, it is exactly, is exactly like, wow, okay, can I actually do that? As that's, I wouldn't even say as a full time. I'm just saying, maybe I can take more time off to do more personal work,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that
so
what attracted to you when you first saw crypto art popping
yeah, I
up?
mean, that had to be the first thing, because I remember telling my wife, I'm like, oh man, if you can actually have viable income to just then now express yourself without having to have a director or production designer, all that, that would be just the dream, you know. But the problem is, I was like, well, is this real? Like, can this be real? Like, am I dreaming here? Like, but it was happening to a lot of people. So I was like, this is worth a look. It's worth investigating. And that was pretty much 2 months ago. I mean, obviously, I think for me, it was like Beeple's thing happened. And I was like, what is this thing? Like at that point, before him, I didn't have any idea, what crypto art was. And I looked at his stuff and I was like, oh, okay. That's really interesting. Okay, I'm not gonna be like that because I don't think I can. Because I'm not Beeple. I'm like, well, maybe there's some room in it for me. Okay, so I looked into it, and yeah, I mean, I've really looked into it heavy in the last month.
When I
But yeah,
first started chatting to you, I was looking at you and I thought, if someone, because you had a lot of issues starting out, like it wasn't one of these stories where it was smooth sailing and you just put something out and it gets bought for $1 million. It's nothing like that. And you were having lots of difficulties. And I thought, if someone with your pedigree and background of working on the top films and being an amazing concept artist, if you're having problems understanding or getting a grip with this new space, I thought then everyone's having problems. Like there's a real need to sort of help people understand what it's like to try and break into a brand new space that's, and you almost have to start from scratch. So I thought that's why I thought it's worth chatting to you about your experience. So
Yeah,
like
I'm
what are some of the issues that you had?
yeah, so I'm one of those that definitely is not upload something and have a meteoric, crazy success. And I think it's fitting in what it is. And I, just kind of by chance bumped into you in that room, in that Discord room. And I still remember the thing I was trying to ask was how does one even get their work in front of people, because I got into, a platform called Super Rare, and I thought, well, you get in and you post your stuff and people are going to see it. That's not how it happens. And I found out it wasn't how it happened. And I had never had a Twitter, like I wasn't much of a Twitter anything. And I had always been very sort of like, oh, Twitter's not for me kind of guy. But, I remember around Christmas, I said, you know what? I had the account since, I don't know, 6 years ago, but I had like 10 followers because I never used it. So I said, you know what? I'm going to try it, just try Twitter. And at that time, I made, I was working on personal work about, it's a painting called Dragon Surgery. And it was just, it's just something that reflected some of the surgery I went through. And I was just like spending my Christmas doing it. I was so happy, because I had just finished a really crap job. And I was like, oh, keeps me sane. So I was working on it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try Twitter. And I used that as one of the first posts. And I guess that image kind of blew up. And then Twitter, I started having some more followers, but I didn't have much of anything. My Instagram is marginal, 10,000 people at most. And I thought, okay, well, I'll give this Super Rare a shot, and I'll just, thankfully I had already started a little bit of Twitter. And so, with that very little amount of social media presence, because most of us are working and we just kind of, don't put the time in. And so I tried to figure out, this was a couple of weeks ago when, in the room with you, I was like, well, how does one get seen? Well, you got to do your own marketing. So I tried, but it's really hard. And especially for somebody who's, I consider myself a 20+ year veteran, like working. And I'm like, wow, you really is a new audience. And you just got knocked out all the way back to the bottom. And I'm looking around going, wow, that thing sold for 100 grand, and wow, that thing sold for 50, and mine's just sitting there. Okay, what do I need to do here? And it does make you doubt yourself at times, because you kind of sit there and going, what is it? Is it just not what people like? I'm like, I actually went into it with a whole set in mind, and like I curated. I was like, new work. It wasn't like, just recycled work. I really thought about it, and I was like, nobody seems to care.
No, no response. Yeah, you got no response. It was just sitting there, and you starting to really
Yeah,
doubt
there,
yourself.
and I mean, I got response, but I think the thing was that kind of, I think I had too high of an expectation, because I thought, hey, I'm worth this much. And I'm worth that much. And you have all these numbers you have in your head. But, I've kind of adjusted my mentality a little bit since then, because now I'm like, well, you got to start somewhere. And you can't always be like, well, this painting is worth 20 ETH. Well, okay, sure. If you're willing to wait 2 weeks, 2 months for the right person to come along to see it, okay, that it's fair. Everybody's worth what they're worth, if you think you're worth that. But I was like, well, I think I want to be more accessible first. Introduce who I am, what I do. I mean, nobody knows me in this scene. Nobody knows me at all. I mean, in my own world, some people know me, but in this world, nobody does. So I've just been trying to just get people to go, okay, I get what this guy does, and then slowly maybe roll out some more personal work, because nobody even wants to hear why you did what you did until you become at least a little bit more familiar, like so. Um, so I'm trying all kinds of avenues, and I'm like trying, Twitter obviously to promote a little bit more and to let people know who I am. I've been writing a little bit more on, who I am as a person, what's happened to me, um, and it's I actually feel good doing it because it's kind of it feels more personal than just, hey, look, another one for auction. Like it's more like, hey, this is who I am, and I'm trying to make a go at this. But here's also why I think you might want to care.
I
That.
think I think the pieces you're referring to are probably my favorite personal works of yours, probably because of that, because they have more meaning to you. Like there's a story behind them, and possibly because you put so much effort into it, because it has that meaning to it. Like they've come out a lot better than a day turnaround on a feature film thing that's just trying to establish a
Yeah.
scene or something. Like these you can tell that there is love and investment in time and thought into it. So those are the ones that stand out. And I've told you before, like the dragon one, or some other ones that I'd love to be the first bidder on those ones. I don't know if I'll be the successful one, but just to support you and to let you know your works are awesome, regardless of which space you're in. So I'd love to know a bit more about those ones, and I'm like Over the City or Dragon Surgery, and any related to that sort of series. Is that the ones you're referring to, the personal
Yeah,
ones?
yeah, those were the ones. Like the dragon surgery was probably my most recent one, but basically from just 2 months ago. Wait, what is it? We're 3 months ago. I did it on my Christmas break, but it's just it's one of those. When I was having my surgery, or at that time after my surgery, I read the notes to the surgery, because they would release the notes and you can read it, and it was, it's descriptive of, like it was a 10 to 12 hour surgery, so it was a long one, and
So
I
you've
actually
had
thought,
recent complications then, like
no,
or
I
is
mean
it
they
just is this
basically they
constant
had to
surgery you
admit,
have to have?
sorry.
Is this like constant surgery you have to have because of your condition?
No, no, it was just that one time, on, when I had the acute, like the accident,
Right.
and then basically this one of the vertebrae exploded, and that's the spinal cord injury. But I had internal injuries, and then I had all these broken bones. But that surgery was to put like two long rods in my back, and so that's the thing I showed on Twitter. Like it's on my feet, but it's an X-ray with this long rod, and it's to put that in. It took a long time, and then they had to graft bone and put it in different places. So I read the notes to that, and I thought, wow, interesting. Like I just kept having an image of me, having the surgery done, and all these, 10, 12 hour surgery is an exhausting thing for the doctors and nurses. And I remember in the hospital after I read those, or somewhere I had seen an image of a heart transplant, of a doctor doing a heart transplant, and that was a 30, I don't know, like at least a day surgery, and you could see some of the nurses in the back, like just sleeping, because they have to be there in case of anything, right? And the doctor was just there, like, oh my God, like you could, it was a powerful photograph, and I think that thing burned into my head. I never looked at that photo again, ever. Like that was it, and this is like 30 years ago. That was the time I looked at it, and then for some reason, when I did the dragon surgery, these were things I remembered, me reading the notes and feeling the surgery, and thought, wow, what if it was a last of its kind, was this dragon, and for me it was appropriate because I felt like I lost something huge. Like when you use your legs, it's no small thing. And I thought, it was kind of like my way of just saying, well, this is the last thing, and I thought, well, putting a dragon in there, I mean, I always loved something more fantastical, something a little bigger. And what if all these guys were just really just there, exhausted, and all this just came together in that image. And to now, it's, so far, it seems like it's also my most popular image, and I think it's no surprise because when you put that much into it, something comes out, something that you can't quite explain. Because I don't think anybody who saw that image even understood that, right? They didn't really know the history of, but they just knew, oh, that's a different idea. But I think there's something in there, that people kind of they get automatically, and it's been the most popular image, and that's something that I think I do want to share with people. And so yeah, there's that one, and then the Over the City is a story I'm writing. Basically, is about a person that gets injured and how they use the scientific sort of more mech based things to augment the spine, and how do you use that so that you can walk and do your thing, but he's also teetering on the edge of a roof, you don't know why and why he's nude, and it kind of shows my feeling at times because a lot of times when you're in that situation, you're steps away from not a very happy time, but then there is also still hope. It's kind of trying to ride that line, and that's all that personal work that I don't know why I did it. It just kind of steered itself that way. I mean, I don't know if you have that, but sometimes you just do work and you're like, damn, I don't know where that came from, but I like it. And this is one of those times when you're like, okay, and then you look at it and it makes perfect sense when you really pull yourself out and see it. So I was going to do a whole series of those, basically, and tell the story. But I always wondered, do people really like this? Do they want to see this? And when you do personal work, you're always wondering that. That's the thing. When you're doing something for the Matrix, you're like, oh, as long as the director likes it, you're good.
Yeah, that's your goal. Yeah, it's the director likes it. It's for their project. It's their thing. So you've done your job, and you know that you've done okay. But if it's
And in some ways, it's easier to please a director because you build a rapport, you understand what they want, you give them what they want. But in this world, it's hard, and it's hard because you put something out there. First of all, there's nothing coming back, right? Nobody's really telling you they like your work or not. The only way they tell you is either by buying your work. That's pretty much the only way. So you don't know what's going on there, and I think I've been on it, a roller coaster in the last couple of weeks, and I try to really talk to anybody who's getting in now, to just really know that, because you can get to a deep, dark place, because at some point you're putting your most prized feelings and artwork out there, and people are in a sense saying, just putting a monetary value on it and not really even realizing that they're doing that. I mean, nobody's doing that personally, obviously. Nobody is trying to hurt you, but when you put something that personal out there, you're going to feel a little bit like, scared and trepidatious. And then when there's no response, you feel like nobody likes my work. And I think it's more like nobody's really found your work. Maybe it's a better way to put it, but it's hard, because I'm talking to my friend and he's like, I'll put some pieces on foundation, nothing. And I feel bad because I've been there, and when you have your self-worth, it's all based on how much somebody's gonna, sort of, if they want your art, forget the price, if they even just want your art, it's tough. This part is quite tough.
Yeah. Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. And,
It's a yeah. It's a different space, and it's like we you haven't been doing this, but like a lot of Instagram artists have been getting lots of likes and followers and audience, and they're bringing that over, and they're like trading their exposure and likes that we're doing for nothing. They're trading it for crypto dollars. The people in the crypto world or their audience are sort of coming with them a bit, but if you're coming without that, or if you're coming, from a different area, it doesn't mean you don't have value. It just means you're starting from a different place, and and even if, like I always say, like the money is just the price tag that is put on your artwork, but that never equals the value. So like the value that was there was already there
yeah,
before there was even an opportunity to sell it to someone. Like this is only recent. There's a chance to have these new collectors acquire our work. The value was there way before that, and the value will continue to remain. So the value is different to the price tag which is on it or which you can get for it. They'll never be the same. And so just
yeah,
I sometimes I feel bad because I want to collect someone's work, but I feel like the crypto amount I can attach to it that I can afford is an insult to what they're offering.
Mhm.
And I was just like, but I can't afford what I think it's worth. So it goes for a lot of people. There's just different varying people on the scale of collectors and creators, and it's yeah, at the moment it's a bit of a minefield in the Wild West. So mentally, I think it's not that healthy to look at other people and associate the value of their work and what it's going for with yourself and the value of your work, because it's not the same thing. So
Yeah.
so
It's
you've
extremely, yeah.
yeah.
But
So I was just going to say you've now been navigating a little bit, and so your work is great. So that's what I'm saying is, even if you release these more personal works and they don't get the bids or offers that I think they should get or you think they should get, it doesn't matter. If you can get think you were saying to me before, I had the same idea. The dream is just that you can get enough that you can continue doing the work that is meaningful to you. So that is like an important thing that I would love all independent artists to be able to just get enough that they can keep doing it for as long as they want to. But you've started to find a little bit of success now. I've seen you've sold a couple of pieces that were sitting there for a while. It's been a bit up and down, but how do you think how is that experience been so far up
mm.
till now? And
So, mm, I, yeah, I mean, the funniest thing is, obviously new to this world, but I also new to the whole bidding system and all this kind of stuff. And the truth of it is, I didn't realize a lot of the quirks of this because retracted bids being one, I it was being bid on, and then woke up, oh, you have a bid, oh, it's been retracted, because I guess I waited too long to you know to accept the offer, but what you don't realize is that everything underneath it, it's like they don't know that they don't, basically nobody knows it exists, this piece exists anymore, and that they assume somebody outbid them, and then that's it, their money gets pulled out, and they can use it again. So now I was like, oh god, okay, it's this high and then another low. So it's
so
a lot of
this
that, a
is
lot.
where someone puts a high offer in, and you're probably willing to accept that bid, and
Yeah.
then it gets taken away, withdrawn for
Mhm.
whatever reason, and that in turn knocks out all the previous bids that they're not a bidder anymore, and that money gets
Yeah.
returned to them. So you're literally starting from scratch again, because I've had this before as well, and there is no way to reach out to those collectors either because they're all anonymous and you don't, so
Right. So, that's the thing is, no, but I found on Super Rare, I don't know on other sites, basically it's not just starting from scratch, but you're already out of that whole, you know, loop, basically, of whatever tiles are, like, showing with your, it's only showing trending. The algorithm is not showing you anymore because it's saying, well, I mean, it's been around already. That's it. We're not showing it anymore. So you're basically dead in the water. So it's either you do something to kick it back up and hopefully something happens. But so then it happened on another painting, and I was like, what? So it was like twice already. Like, and I'm like, okay. So I finally, I mean, and this can be as anybody who can do this should do this. But I mean, I went to the next buyer, and luckily he had a Twitter handle, and I just messaged him. I say, hey, it's still available for this. If you want it, it's yours. If not, I'll put it up for auction and we'll see where it goes. And he wanted it, so that's it. And my thing was like, don't try to be. This is just my take. I try too hard to say, well, this painting is worth X because I am so personal with it. I think that I want to introduce people to my work. So I think it needs to be more accessible. And people are like, well, you're going to set a precedent and it's not as rare. I'm like, I think I don't know that I believe that. I actually think, if of course you sell your stuff for zero point 0.1 ETH, maybe, okay, that's you're really, that's only going to cover your fees. Sell it for at least something that you think, okay, this is worthwhile. And it's an intro to you as an artist. So I just took that mentality. I'm introducing people. Let other people have a chance to have the work. And maybe later on, whatever they want to do with it, they can either make money or they can hold on to it, but it'll be worth something. And I feel like maybe that's a good way to go first. So that's what I'm trying now. And so far it seems to work. Basically, I've sold everything except for one. And so, yeah, I mean, am I going to up my prices? I think I'm going to start getting more personal work out there, more original work. And that's when I kind of will let it go a little bit. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how the best way works, but I think building up at least an audience. I mean, it's the same if I was going to Instagram or ArtStation or Twitter. You have to build an audience. At first, you're not going to get many people even engaging with you. And then now you're going to have hundreds of people engaging with you. So I think it's the same way, but I don't know. I mean, but I see people coming in and they post an image and they bring with it the social media and then they're selling for 30 grand. I don't know. It's just not my reality right now.
Yeah.
And hopefully one day it will become my reality. That at least I tell everybody I don't care about getting rich. I care about having enough so that I can continue this. And my friend was saying, well, what's it going to take for you to quit your job? I'm like, well, it's going to take some, amount because, for me, I'm a little bit not as secure because of my disability. I need a buffer, and so I'm always wary of quitting, my job. But I really want to, to do that because I really want to explore what this can mean for me artistically and what things I can actually, if I put all my time into doing my own thing, what it can be, and that's what excites me about this space is that artists are giving a chance to do that. Although it's a minefield, like everybody's like, oh, who should I talk to? What collectors? I'm like, I don't know any of them. I mean, there's only the usual names that are floating around that are buying a lot. That's pretty obvious who they are. But a lot of them have their own particular tastes. So it's true that you kind of have to let your audience find you, but do the best thing you can to prepare for that, right? I mean, at least put it out there as much as you can.
Yeah.
And try to like today I just got a write up from some NFT writer thing person. And so that was good, was like, well, okay, so anytime you can do that, do that. Find these people, engage. I mean, I am certainly no big time anybody. I'm just starting, and I just want to introduce people to what I do. And I know I talked to you, and I just thank you for the help, because I when I talked to you, I was pretty much like, I don't know what's going on, and I was pretty low, because I was like, oh man, when you think you're gonna come in and like, because you're coming in with a certain amount of popularity, or people know who you do, or who you are, what you do, and then you come in here and nobody knows, like nobody cares, they just care like, what are you doing now, and do I like it, and some people who like certain things aren't going to like your thing, because my thing is, I don't know, when you look at the feed, it's like, ooh, consistent, and then they see mine, like, what is that? It takes some time to get used to, maybe, I don't know, because for super rare, it seems quite foreign, in a big, vast environment. I don't know, most people are not used to seeing that, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. It's I think a lot of people coming into this realize how vast opinions people have of things, and they're used to being sort of something in their area, and like you're really good, but then you come across and you're like, what, they like this trash little thing, or they like collecting these weird abstract things, or like, I'm not those people. So it is finding your people, your collectors, the people who are into the type of thing you do, and that, yeah. And not to, I'm not saying you do, but I don't want anyone else to sacrifice what makes them special, and what they do, for just going after dollars for something else. So yeah, like
Yeah.
when I talked to you, you did seem pretty down and disillusioned about everything. But now I see that you're, getting a nibble of success, and a potential that, some good things are there, and this is a real space. So I'm really glad for that. So I'm looking forward to what you bring out in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing in the end is to still stay true to yourself, and try not to adjust, like you said, like your art just to make some money, because in the end, then you're just really working for a client again, which is actually the collectors are your client now. So you're trying to work for them. I mean, but I do think that if you have something really personal that, you might want to sort of uh, introduce people to your work first, and then come out with something that's sort of, okay, you've been following me for a little bit, I'm going to show you all this new work that, it's about me. I mean, they're much more likely to listen than not, than, if you just did it right at the beginning, because you'll feel that, hey, this is my heart, everything's out here. And then you'll feel like it's worth a lot, and then you'll be very disappointed that people might not pay the amount you think it's worth. And so, yeah, but right now I'm just kind of, yeah, like I said, just introducing and seeing where this can go. These platforms, unfortunately, you have to do your own selling, which is something I never knew. I was like, what? Like, I'm on the feed, right? Like, no.
Yeah.
Like, that algorithm is like, you'll barely get seen. You have to get people there to go look at it. And you have to do your homework to see who wants it, and that takes time. There's no surefire way. I mean, the thing I like about, obviously, Nifty Gateway is that they'll help in that sense, right? Because there's not a lot of marketing. I think they do a lot of the marketing, for you, in terms of like, that's what they're about. But I think anything other than Nifty Gateway, you're gonna have to do your own.
Yeah, you start to appreciate why companies have whole marketing departments just for that, because it's so hard to be seen, especially when everyone else is trying to be seen.
And it works. I mean, it works because people are there and they want to see it. But like some place like Super Rare has there's no marketing. I mean, they're not even introducing any artists. Basically, it's just go on that feed and see what you see, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, if I was a collector, I was like, well, I wonder how they would actually go about seeing this artwork, because if I could lay it out somewhere for them to see, it'd be great. But I don't know, if I was a
Yeah.
collector, I'd be like, are they just clicking? Like
It's difficult
scrolling?
for collectors as well. Like being a collector as myself, it's yeah, you just get a feed full of random, and you're like, oh, where's the things that I like? I'd like it curated some way that I could find things that are more. But it's just yeah, for me, it's just following all the people I like and just watching what they bring out. Yeah,
Because
so
I saw you bought a piece recently, a black and white piece.
yeah,
And I love that. I thought that's amazing. I love that person's work. So I
yeah,
started following too. It's just great. It's awesome.
yeah, yeah,
But it's
yeah.
good to spread the word. Thanks. I think you're really doing good that way, because and that's an amazing piece of artwork.
Yeah, and it's just because I've been a fan of his for a while, and I just saw he was bringing. He just mentioned it. It was out, and yeah, It had been out for 11 hours, and I was surprised no one had bought it already because it's a classic piece of his. Yeah, but anyway, I just want to say it's been an honor to be able to talk to you and to help you through this space, and we'll wrap it up here. But I'm so glad you're part of this, and there's a chance for you to sort of make something more out of it. And I really hope that something can come out of it for you. And
Yeah, and
yeah,
thanks for all the help, and thanks for having me on just to have this chat. And hopefully this will help somebody too.
yeah, I'll be showing your work. I'll probably put it on screen or something so everyone can see as we chat. But I'm sure they'll be amazed when they get introduced to it as well. So, yeah, definitely be watching what you do in the future. So, thanks so much, Emmanuel.
Well, thank you for having me on.